Hi everyone, and thank you for coming this afternoon. Today we're talking about well-being. Now we hear this word a lot within our school environment, out in the community, and in the media. But what does it actually mean? How do we define well-being? I asked some of our students here at SMPS what well-being means to them, and they had quite a lot of difficulty articulating their understanding, even the Year Sixes. Here are some of their responses. Being kind to people, excited and happy, being safe and happy, health and how you feel, mental attitude and physical health, having a good house, health and body. It looks like we really need to educate the students about well-being. Now it's your turn. What does the word well-being mean to you? I'd like you to talk with the person next to you and together come up with your definition of well-being. Then if you could write it on the sticky note and just place it up here on the board. Thank you everyone for sharing. Let's have a look at them. Influence of physical, social and mental health on your being. Connectedness with self, others, nature and God. Physical health, mental health and emotional health. The relationship between physical, emotional and spiritual health. A feeling of contentment, appreciation, freedom and divine love. There are certainly some common themes coming through, but it's interesting, isn't it, that something we hear about so often that we try to promote for our students and ourselves means different things to different people. If we here at SMPS are to take a whole school approach, it's important we develop a common understanding. Wellbeing has been likened to a seesaw with a balance point between an individual's inner resource pool and the challenges faced. When individuals possess the psychological, social and physical resources they need to meet a particular challenge, they maintain the balance. When there are more challenges than resources, the seesaw dips along with their well-being. Positive psychologist Martin Seligman introduced the PERMA model: positive emotions, engagement, positive relationships, meaning and accomplishment. He believes if these are all present, individuals will experience well-being and flourish. Educational settings such as ours can foster these positive factors because we influence not only students' academic achievement, but their capacity for social and emotional well-being. The World Health Organization believes well-being is when an individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to her or his community. I'm sure you will all agree that this is what we wish for our students here at SMPS. It is our role as educators to provide opportunities and resources that equip our students with the skills to maintain their well-being. The questions we need to ask are, what are we doing to help our students achieve this? And what more do we need to do? Before we get on to that, I'd like to show you some statistics that demonstrate why wellbeing education is so crucial for our students. Did you know that 1 in 5 children and young people today have a mental disorder? Close to 800,000 people worldwide die of suicide every year, and this is a leading cause of death in Australia of people aged from 15 to 44. 1 in 4 Australian children are overweight or obese, and children are amongst some of the more than 100,000 people in Australia who are currently homeless. I'm sure you will agree these statistics are alarming. There is growing evidence to suggest that well-being is the most significant factor for the mental health, happiness and success of young people today. Wellbeing education must be a priority. So where do we start? The Australian Student Wellbeing Framework assists schools by focusing on 5 areas: leadership, inclusion, student voice, partnerships and support. I have a copy here for each of you, and if you read the recommended actions, you'll notice a number of things we do really well here at SMPS to support our students' wellbeing. It also highlights some areas we aren't currently addressing. To support our students' wellbeing, the key areas we need to focus on are having a whole school approach, engaging in professional development, and explicitly teaching social emotional skills that promote resilience. Research demonstrates that students who engage in quality evidence-based social and emotional skills program within their school setting are more resilient. Taking a whole school approach to wellbeing would help us to build a positive school ecology and will provide us with the greatest opportunity to create positive change. We need clearly defined policies and practices that aim to support the desired outcomes. Researchers have identified that the most effective way to introduce and maintain effective social emotional practices is through a whole school approach. As you know, we introduced a whole school approach to behaviour management a couple of years ago, and that consistency from classroom to classroom and common language has been extremely effective. This has impacted students and their wellbeing as we provide them with a safe and supportive learning environment. We need to take the same approach to wellbeing in order to meet the social emotional needs of our students. The most common need identified at SMPS is for students to develop their resilience. This refers to an individual's ability to overcome life's obstacles and to not only manage effectively in challenging times, but to learn from their experiences and thrive. Some of the challenges faced by our students include illness, bullying, family breakdown, and trauma. Teachers here at SMPS have noted a number of students lack resilience even when faced with minor issues. Giving up when schoolwork becomes challenging, being unable to solve minor social problems, overreacting to minor issues, and becoming emotional, angry, or aggressive when unsuccessful in games and sports. This lack of resilience impacts students' peer relationships, their engagement in learning, and their emotional wellbeing. And it is the most common reason for referring students to our school counsellor. The need to implement a social emotional program that targets resilience was also identified in last year's quadrennial review and is a feature of our recently released strategic plan. In order to meet the social emotional needs of our students here at SMPS, I propose we introduce school-wide practices that use a common language. This will ensure a holistic and consistent approach which will greatly benefit our students. The practices we will be implementing in all classrooms relate to emotional regulation, mindfulness, growth mindset, and strengths. All of these practices will be further explored in professional development in the near future, but I'd like to give you a bit of an overview of the proposed practices. An inability to regulate emotions is the most common reason for children's mental health referrals today. Here at SMPS, it is a telling factor that impacts student wellbeing and is evident in both the classroom and the playground. Introducing students to STOP, which stands for stop, take a breath, observe, proceed, would provide them with a simple process to assist them when they need to regulate their emotions. This visual will be displayed in all classrooms so that it can be referred to regularly and students become very familiar with the practice and language. Now, I know some of you have students who have shown extreme difficulty regulating their emotions, and you might be thinking they're going to need more support than this. Well, those students have been identified through their referral to our school counsellor, and she's going to run small group weekly sessions with targeted students to develop the strategies they need to build resilience and cope with adversity. Developing mindfulness is a positive psychology intervention that many schools have effectively embedded into their daily practices with very promising results. Mindfulness has a strong link to emotional regulation and resilience and has been attributed to not only well-being, but student engagement and academic achievement. There are many different mindfulness practices and resources available, which will be provided to you further down the track, and my recommendation is that all classes will participate in daily mindfulness practice straight after lunch, just for about 5 to 10 minutes. This would help students to centre themselves and prepare for learning. This has certainly been the case at Lake Windermere School, who state, amongst other initiatives, our mindfulness sessions have been introduced after lunch play to settle students. Student engagement increased and incident reports to the front office dropped remarkably in our trial term. Consequently, all classes across the school now timetable mindfulness before the afternoon lessons begin. People with a growth mindset take on challenges rather than avoid them. They overcome obstacles and understand the need for effort rather than giving up when things become difficult. They listen to and take on feedback and are inspired by the success of others, not intimidated by it. If we can help our students here at SMPS to develop a growth mindset, they will be motivated to persevere when encountering life's challenges and engage in more rigorous academic learning experiences. Martin Seligman believes individuals flourish when they are able to identify and apply their strengths. Character strengths intervention in educational settings like ours, along with strengths assessment such as the VIA Youth Survey, have been linked to improved social skills and resilience, greater student engagement, enhanced life satisfaction, and improvement in classroom cohesion. These are all elements that need to be promoted here at SMPS. It's important that we focus on what our students can do by helping them to identify their strengths and providing opportunities to apply them regularly. I know when we look at introducing anything new, our first thought is often, how am I going to have the time to do that? I'm already working with an overcrowded curriculum. With such a strong link between well-being, student engagement, and academic achievement, I strongly believe it is worth investing the time. Wellbeing needs to be the overarching philosophy underpinning education, and that way it isn't a standalone concept, but embedded school-wide across all areas of the curriculum. Our students need to be well to achieve life's goals. So where do we start? I'm not sure how familiar you are with the personal and social capability in the Australian curriculum. It comprises 4 elements: self-management and self-awareness, and social management and social awareness. We're going to be focusing on the self-awareness and self-management elements, and we'll use the continuum to assist us to identify the behaviours we want our students to be able to demonstrate. Now, you might be thinking, if we're taking a whole school approach and I teach prep, my students' needs will be very different to the Year 6s. And of course you're right. That's why we will be working in our PLTs to identify the specific behaviours we expect to see from early years students, middle years, and upper years. This will help to identify the gaps that exist between the desired behaviours and those our students are currently demonstrating. So where to from here? In 2 weeks' time, we will be working in our PLTs using the continuum to identify those desired behaviours. On the pupil-free day in week 9, we will be engaging in professional development around school-wide social emotional learning and the practices and resources we will be introducing. At the beginning of next term, we will commence the implementation of the social emotional practices in all classrooms, and then at the PLC meeting in week 6, we will assess how things are going, look at what's working well, and discuss anything that might need adapting. When it comes to wellbeing education, we, as educators, need to learn it, live it, teach it, and embed it. We have an incredible opportunity to make a difference, and we really play a pivotal role in shaping the lives of our students. We can help them to achieve their potential. We can equip them with the skills to cope with the stresses of life so that they can work productively and make a positive contribution to their community. I am very passionate about bringing positive change to our school, and I hope you feel the same way. I really look forward to meeting with you again in a couple of weeks as we begin this whole school wellbeing journey together.